I usually need to keep my eyes on the screen, but I was like, I knew the moment I was just like, oh, it's on this TV. I'm just gonna do laundry while it's happening. I knew this show is not surviving in my mind.
Hi, this is Juniper.
Hello, this is Elle.
Welcome again to our pod, and today we have nothing to talk about, so we'll talk about something. In the sense of nothing to talk about, it's because there's really nothing to watch lately. After finishing The Love of Our Life, Snowy Night, Timeless Love, we were like, what next? I think we started a few shows and ran into some challenges. So today we want to talk about two of those shows that we were anticipating quite a bit and how they managed to completely become anticlimactic. And then another random show I don't think was on our radar. But actually ended up being so far the winner amongst the three. So let's start with Kill Me, Love Me. I mean, really, I just call it Kill Me. Kill Me, Kill Me.
Well, the reason we wanted to watch that was because the female lead was in the double, and this was her next project that was slated to come out. So I think we both enjoyed the double immensely and really wanted to see what was going to happen next for her, because I think that was like her biggest hit to date. And you and I have both finished
the double was not her biggest hit to date.
Oh,
it was
for the male lead, male lead. Yes.
But sorry, go ahead.
You and I both have watched the first 4 episodes, and I think this is the first drama in a long time where we're not continuing, which is really rare. Usually, even for Lost You Forever, you kept trucking through.
I'm gonna be a trooper and finish Lost You Forever season 2. Not because, here's the thing, Lost You Forever is not completely irredeemable. It's just friggin' long. I'm not saying that. Well, we dropped the Princess Royale, but that one I'm pretty sure
that was.
If there was nothing else to watch,
through.
Yeah, if there was nothing else to watch, we would have been like, yeah, okay, we can truck through that. Kill Me, Love Me. Here's how I felt. I saw the trailer. I said, oh, this looks really interesting. It looked like a salacious kind of melodrama with killing and God knows what, revenge and stuff like that, right? With two beautiful people, nice costumes, and it even has Baron Chen in it, although he looks like a complete doofus. I was like, what happened to Baron Chen? I think that was one of the first things I texted you. I'm like, what did they do to his hair?
I was like, oh, I recognize him. I was like, who is that guy? I'm like, oh, that's what he looks like now.
Poor Baron.
Yeah.
I love
because we liked him in the
romance, the Taiwanese romance called Bromance. Romance called Bromance. Can you say that fast? Never mind. Anyway, so it's quite the letdown.
Yes.
I'll start just because I think I don't have as many interesting things to say about it because it was such an uninteresting show. And maybe this is a very unpopular opinion because I know there are people who love the show, or at least love the actors enough to love the show. It just feels like such a letdown. Like, I think here, I'll just read you the things I think I texted you or wrote down myself, right? Like, it felt very much over the top, but like in a really trying too hard, fake type of way. And I'm pretty sure I texted this to you. I said it feels like a mid-tier video game adaptation of a so-so comic book. Like they really want to deliver wow elements or dramatics, but with an action, but somehow the execution was just kind of like, and there's just so much like, I don't know. It's like they want you to think it's wow, so dramatic with all the fast edits and cuts, right? And
yes.
And then the random dramatic incidental music. Like there were parts where like they're talking and then suddenly the music is like booming in a dramatic like crescendo. And like, what? Why? So can someone put that, like, can you temper that down a little? I'm trying to listen to what they're saying. So I was like, there's all sorts of like, something is not quite right? Like if I have to notice the fact that the drama is trying to be more than it is, it's trying too hard, right?
Yeah. Well, I was telling you that, because okay, so one of the main things that they reveal very early on is that so the woman in the beginning her village gets burned down. So she has this so that's her reason for revenge. And she's taken in by this shadow, I think was it called shadow sect or something. So she's taken in and they basically spent 10 years training her to be an assassin. And so you're watching her and but the guy who trained her is the guy who is her target, the person that she has to assassinate. So she is being trained by her master, but she doesn't know his identity. And the real identity is the prince. And so I'm watching this, I'm like, this is so stupid. I was like, what? Like, and apparently, from what I've read, people were like, what? That's like a big reveal. How can they reveal that in like the first like 2 episodes, right? So already you're like, I don't care enough about these people, about these like
You mean
like undercover
a dramatic choice they
personalities.
made to reveal that he's actually the person training the assassin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not
But I mean, I think usually even if you reveal it earlier, you should at least care about the characters. I think right now when you first watch him, he's so weird because he's trying pretending he's crazy.
yes.
Do you remember like so he's pretending to be like evil, but he is kind of evil, but he
No.
doesn't think he's evil. And you're like, who is this person? Does he know who
Really
he
crazy.
is?
He's not pretending to be crazy. He's just crazy.
I know, because people are really deathly afraid of him because they believe that he is the person behind the whole like massacre of the people in this village. I mean, when I say village, it's more like probably like a city or a town.
Yeah.
Like it's not like 100 people, right? It's like thousands, I think, or something like that. But I'm watching this and I'm like, I'm not invested in him because he's not an interesting character. He's actually very flat, shallow character. And she, I don't know, like she's so tiny and you have to believe that she's like this trained assassin
with the
can
useless
do all these amazing things.
ninja mask she has on. Remember, I texted you. I was like,
The
"This is the most useless disguise ever."
Well, because like, isn't there like a poison gas in the air, and she just covers it with this like flowy veil that's like almost
I don't even
see-through,
remember
like,
that, but she wears it to like go try to assassinate him one night, and there was another assassin, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, are you supposed to like do flips and stuff? Because like, I mean, if I walk too fast, that veil will fly in my eye, and everyone was, I mean, if there's no breeze, I can still see who you are because it's see through, and if there's a breeze,
right?
it's gonna be quite the encumbrance in your face, right?
Yes,
Like,
yes. I know, and like, okay, so one problem I also had. I got up to the 4th episode, right? So I don't know if it's a time the time structure is that they say it's been 10 years. So everything kind of happened. The flashback at the beginning of the story is 10 years ago. They look exactly the same. I'm like, how old are these people supposed to be? Because I'm gathering at present day they're in their 20s. So they would have been like teenagers, right? But like it doesn't feel it's just weird. Like it doesn't make sense. And I think by the 3rd episode, I texted you. I was like, the only person I care about is the eunuch. Like the only one I like is the eunuch.
but he has
like
bad teeth. I noticed that he has really bad teeth.
No, because he comes out and he's like basically just announces what the emperor wants or the crown prince wants or the prince. Like he just kind of speaks for them, and I'm like, he's like the voice of reason, and he's the only one that he can say like no to someone, and no one. And people kind of respect him. And I'm like, that's pretty sad when like you feel more respect for the eunuch than the imperial family
Oh my
or
god,
the royal
speaking of
family.
saying things, so I think that's another thing I noticed, and I think you agreed with me when I texted you. I was like, do they just like there's no action. There's just they want to tell you what's happening, so they have all sorts of random characters say things. It's like all exposition, right? There's no plot.
Yes,
It's all
yes.
exposition. It's like, you know how I love watching opera, but very Baroque opera used to be like stand and deliver. Like the singer will get in front of the stage, stand there and do a recitative for 10 minutes, right? Which is telling you through some dialogue how I feel, how things are happening, what just happened, oh my thoughts, oh my heart. This is what it feels like watching this show half the time. Like people just are like talking to each other for the sake of revealing something to you, right? And you're like, I'm sorry,
Yes.
why don't you just Can you be more like this is what I mean. It's so try hard. It's so leaden footed. Now, you could say that's how theater works. People do talk to each other. I'm like, okay, the double was theatrical, but the double was witty, right? Like it wasn't
Yes.
heavy-handed or leaden-footed, whatever you call it. This is the opposite. This is like, let me tell you exactly how you should, receive this information. And this is their
Yes.
motivation, and if it's not obvious, I'll have a servant point that out by, oh, you really mean to do that or think this. Why didn't you just, I'm like, I think you can do this much more ingeniously than the way you've done it here.
Right. Yeah,
Like a
you're right. There's a
footnote.
lot that there's so many times like a servant will say something, like different servants,
Yeah.
not just one
At least they
particular
have
servant.
multiple footnotes in different colors.
Like asterisks,
Yes.
right? Like they're there to they're like, oh, you shouldn't do this. The reason you do this is blah blah blah, or the reason you chose to do this is blah blah blah. Why didn't you tell them? And I'm like, oh, it's weird because that's information. If they both knew, you don't need to say it, right? It's like, so
There's
yes,
no
it's definitely geared
subtlety.
to
No subtlety.
yeah. It kind of makes the audience feel. I mean, look, I'm not saying like the audience needs to be intelligent to understand what's happening, or that you need to, but they also don't need to be spoon-fed certain things. And I think the problem is they tried, like again, we did not go past episode 4, so I feel like right now they're trying to do a lot to feed you a lot of information, sometimes unnecessary information, right? Like, okay, so the male lead, I think he's meant to be, and my first time watching this actor, very handsome man, but the way he is portraying this character, like there's no way that I can feel any kind of compassion or sympathy. Like I guess I'm supposed to, because they reveal very early on he is not the culprit behind, but he's been like framed. And so now he's like, you feel like, oh, okay, he's fully embraced his villain era, right? But then he
was going through a phase.
Right? Like, yeah, he's going through a phase, but then I'm like, but half the time he's drunk, right? He's just drinking and like, I don't know, numbing his pain, if you will, and there's nothing happening, right? Yeah. And then suddenly he's been mistreating the female lead for over 10 years, right? He calls her a little beggar, and he doesn't really see her as important. He meant to sacrifice her, like let her die and give her a grand burial. And then at some point, but then the plot pivoted because she found evidence that she says can exonerate him of
that he didn't do it.
That he didn't. He wasn't behind the massacre. So now we're at the point where he's like, oh, okay, he's gonna trust in her to help him prove his innocence. But like, I don't know, there's just not enough meat on the bone for me to be like, I want to keep going and see. And I don't care if they fall in love. Like, I just don't. I'm assuming they're a couple. I don't care.
I don't think they had a lack of chemistry per se. It's so hard to get into the show, I think, is what we're saying. Like, it's just so there's too many distracting elements. Oh, you know what? Two last things I'll say about it, because I feel like now I'm wasting my breath on the show. First of all, it's a huge waste of money because there is a lot of nice color costumes and sets in this, so you can see and typically pretty okay good actors in this, right? And yet it's like somehow this all put together was just like, what are they doing? But the two things I wanted to point out were the way that he talks, at least in the first 4 episodes I've seen, is so irritating that I was just like, can you talk faster? And can you can you eat some meat? Can you put some more oomph behind your enunciation? Does that make sense? It's like he had a caffeine crash, and then he's like, I cannot talk any faster. I'm going to be menacing like this.
Yes, I feel like that's a very affected way of acting. Yes. Like I said, I'm not familiar with his acting techniques, but it was very like drawn out.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember we were talking like, oh, how were you watching it? You said you were doing something like staining.
I could not watch this with focus because I was like, I will die. It'd be like that Family Guy episode where they made fun of like, and now back to the soap opera Condensation. And when they're watching Condensation, like I'd be like, yes, this is like condensation. It's a very exciting on the surface condensation, but it is nevertheless condensation.
Yeah. No, and then I was telling you, I was like, yeah, I was folding laundry. I was, I was watching this. Which, remember, I have to read subtitles to watch. I know I don't understand Mandarin.
You're not like me.
So I usually need to keep my eyes on the screen. But I was like, I knew the moment I was just like, oh, it's on this TV. I'm just gonna do laundry while it's happening. I knew this show is not surviving in my mind. So
I remember what was the second thing I wanted to say before we close on this, because like I said, like enough has been said. It reminds me of those the salacious factor was what kind of like attracted me in the first place, right? Like it's such high promise of salaciousness with beautiful people, right? Sexy salaciousness. It reminds me of like a short form like web drama. You know those like 2-minute episode or even 10-minute episode, the short dramas that are really, really all the rage right now in China. And I do watch some of those. They're quite entertaining, okay? But that's the point. They're all about the salacious moments cut together with innuendo to give you the semblance of a story. And you consuming it in those, you know, like snack, oh my gosh, snack bite size. I can't say it. So it's okay in those sizes. This is a drawn out version of that. And I don't think they know what to do with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, even the time, right? The first episode was like 30 minutes and the second one was 50 minutes. And then I think the last two I saw was like 40 something. Like, yeah, the editing, the pacing was a little strange. Oh, you know what? I remember the first episode, they had a very hot kiss, right? When they were in that tub of water. I don't know if you remember.
You mean
and I remember reading like all the comments were like, "Oh, I can't wait to see." So I feel like that's what you mean by salacious as well. Like they want to draw the viewer in with like there's gonna be like this adult, mature relationship between them, right?
But it doesn't work if it doesn't fit the story and like you said, there's not really anything else to support it from a character dynamics. And like I feel like they put in like random dream sequences or imagination sequences. Wasn't there one in the beginning?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, why is he killing her or shooting her? She's trying to. I'm like, did I miss something? Did they just like already get to this point? No, it was just a dream sequence in a way, right? It was all in her head. I'm like, well, that was just inserted to make it seem like it's salacious when it really isn't.
I think that my last thought is like, you know, when you watch those like cop dramas or detective dramas where you don't ever get to know the characters really, you're really more to like see how the plot gets revealed or unfolded. I feel like that's what they're doing here, but in this type of setting. And so you don't, at least in the early days, right, for these two characters, there's no depth to them. I mean, you know that there's this thing happening and that she has revenge on her mind. That's all she's living for, right? All she wants to do is get revenge. And I don't know, I guess he's just he's like a bitter person, right? Like he's just trying to take down the crown prince. And when you're watching it, it's just not enough motivation to root for them. I think that's where, you know, it was disappointing. So anyways, kill me. Just leave it there.
All right, so moving on with our lives. Kill Me, Killed Me, and You. The other show that we really were looking forward to because it stars one of our favorite actors. In fact, the first episode we ever did on our pod was around him. Chen Xingxu, and we were looking forward to this. We even watched another drama with the female lead, right? Zhang Yuxi, in it to make sure, you know, we understood where she came from, like how she acts and stuff without him. To check her out before they were paired together. And that show that finally came out recently is called A Beautiful Lie. 你的谎言也动听. And I think we're also 4 episodes in. So that has unfortunately
I'm 7.
Oh, you're ahead of me. It's been a disappointment. Yes. Now, is it as bad as Kill Me, Kill Me, Kill Me, Love Me? No. But other things have since then interfered, which makes me not want to go on.
So I was telling you that the first episode right off the bat was so confusing to me because all the pictures I saw before it came out was, oh, this is going to be a cute rom-com. And right off the first 5 minutes, right, there's an explosion. And you're like, oh, okay, there's something serious that happens before they meet or how they met. and then it just fast forwards, and you're like, okay, now I'm supposed to like hope that they remember each other or know each other. And I think the issue for me is that it did in the beginning, tonally, it didn't know what it wanted to be. Like it was trying to do a lot of heavy stuff. Like it was trying to talk about how there's some deep reason why he's not a surgeon anymore. He's a doctor. And then she has her careers on the whole because she has like a bad temper. And so I was like, what am I watching? This is not a meet cute at all. Like there's some deep stuff they're trying to put into it, and it was really hard to get into. But I still was like, I like Chen Xingxu. I liked her in Guess Who I Am. I thought she was really cute and spunky in that.
Yeah. And
And
they look
so
really good together.
I
They
think
have good chemistry. I think they
very
have good...
yeah, they actually do have good chemistry. That's why I made it to episode 7, and I was like, oh, I'm still watching. But there were a lot of inconsistencies, I think is what I'm trying to say. Like from a general rom-com feel, it didn't. I feel like it was one of those where and then I think the problem is they put the setting early on in this provincial hospital out in the desert, and so other like suddenly all these things are happening like I don't know if it's a landslide or like avalanche of
I did text
sand
you
or
that.
rocks.
I said, gosh, if I were a motor vehicle, I stayed the heck away from this show. Because it's like every other episode, somebody like landslide almost destroys a car, destroys 2 cars, and then it's like car flips over, and I was like, what is going on with cars in this show? I was like, did I say that? I said, does the cinematographer or director have like an unhealthy obsession with flipping cars and destroying them? Like the budget must have all gone towards the cars. Not towards the script, not towards, wardrobe. Not that they need wardrobe, like really fancy wardrobe. Like, I was like, what? It just feels really jarringly out of place. And maybe that's what you meant, right? Like they couldn't decide what they want to be.
Yes.
So it's like a little bit of everything. Let's just throw it in there. And I was like, now if they just made it a traditional rom-com for like 12 episodes with the 2 of them, I will watch that because they have good chemistry. They look really good together. When they're really kind of being bantery and flirty or even mean to each other in that kind of like, enemies to lovers type of dynamic, it works. So, but somehow it has like, you actually said this. I felt like it almost has like a cheapened version of My Boss with our interpreter vibes. You said that this was worse than our interpreter in your esteem, which I was like shocked by. Like,
yes. Well, because I was like, okay, the reason we dropped our interpreter was that we didn't like the direction the female lead was going in that one, right? Like she was kind of like, he basically declared his love for her, and she was still kind of blasé about him, and you're like, okay, it's really hard to root for a couple when she's doubly the reason that they're not together. But I feel like here, like the budget you can tell is lower. The visuals are not as pretty, even though the people are very pretty. The visuals of the production are not that pretty. And like I said, the setting is weird. They go from city to like this desert-like landscape. And then, it's funnily, there's the child in this, a child actress. Her character actually seems to be like the only reason that this couple stays in touch, right? Like up until, do you remember the little girl?
Yeah, the one with the thing through her thigh.
Yeah. So up until by the time we get to episode 7, even 9, I jumped ahead. She's still a vital part, like because the reason they're together is because they're both trying to help her with through her rehabilitation, like to like physical therapy and mental therapy, I guess. And so I'm watching this, I'm like, oh wow, she's the glue. She's the glue holding this couple together. And it's a noble thing to watch, but it doesn't make sense, like, because if she's not involved, they would not be together. Like she would move on. Oh, she's an actress, so she's her character. She's an actress, so she's a celebrity. So they're like, oh, they're different worlds. He's a doctor. She's a celebrity. I feel like, okay, I know you didn't like that Yang and drama. You Are My Glory, where Doraba was like the actress and he was like
it was boring.
the engineer, right? Yeah, you didn't like. I thought it was fine. It was cute. I like the novels. I like the drama. I feel like in there, at least they made use of that, of their professions to show the differences. I feel like here, like when when I first saw the stills, I was like, okay, they're like from different worlds. How are they gonna play that out? And it was kind of interesting because she's not a consistently A-list celebrity. She's kind of like always getting bashed by the citizen, like netizens and like the haters and gossipers. And so when you're watching her, you're like, oh, like she's like this character you're meant to empathize, like, oh, you want to root for her, and she's cute. But I'm like, but what is the point? Like, what is the point of putting her having this different profession if she's not that successful in the first place? If only to say like, oh, he's there to keep her away from these gossipy people who see her in the store or
it's based on a novel. So she is an actress in the novel. I don't know if that's the exact same dynamic, but we also know the ending deviates from the novel. I think that was the big surprise. So you know me, right? I actually like spoilers because I always try to read the ending of a book before I start too far into it, because I enjoy a book better knowing how it's going to end, and I can decide whether I want to go on the journey. And it's not like anything that just has a sad ending I won't read, okay? It's more like, does it fit the journey the book is asking me to go on? From what I can gather from how they end, because the show just ended as of today, I think, or yesterday, it is a disaster of an ending in that it didn't follow the book. People are very confused by the ending. Half the people, if not more, think he died. The other half are like, no, he's not dead, maybe? Nobody actually knows for a fact. I was like,
what the hell? I was like, how can they kill off Chen Xingxu?
Because, I mean, honestly, I feel like I will only watch this show because of Chen Xingxu and the chemistry with the girl, and then you probably have to skip around a lot because there are other characters in the show, which means, so I don't want to spend time on it, even though they're really good looking, because I can tell already, like, it's a very... I think you and I texted, like, poor Chen Xingxu, how did he end up in the show like this, right? Like, yes. Did he owe someone money?
I see that. I see those comments a lot. Like, people are like, he's such a talented actor, but like the roles that he's getting or that he's like attracted to do not make use of his acting talents at all. I mean, okay,
not that like when you talk about there are that many shows that would require these days in his age bracket that requires that kind of acting talent, though.
Yeah. I mean, look, like when you talk about the flirtiness, right? Like, so his character in this drama, he's not meant to be a flirtatious person, but there were like some snippets where you can tell like he got comfortable enough to like flirt with her, and then it would like, but she's always very like straightforward, like, do you like me? Are you my fan? Like, do you admire me? And he's like, and then it flusters him because she calls him out on it. And I was like, oh, this is so cute. But then they're like, they don't happen very frequently. And and then back to the vehicle thing, right? Episode 3, like another car explosion.
That's what I'm saying. If you're a motor vehicle, stay the heck away from this show.
And I remember I was texting you, I was like, wow, she must have one hell of a plastic surgeon or like skin specialist to not have any scars on her face.
Yes, she is always Barbie, like impeccable looking, and you're like, oh, not a scratch.
Yeah. Not a scratch on her. She's really, I'm sure she's very striking in person. But yeah, it's just, okay, so I'm still watching. I haven't dropped it completely. But I don't know, based on what you just told me with the ending, I'm like, is it worth investing
I was going to continue watching, but because I thought it was funny to start playing games. Remember, I started texting you one night, like every 2 seconds. I was like, ooh, he's walking through like a lavender or purple flower field with her. And
yes.
I was like, it was like trope spotting, but it was all she's tropes, right? Like, I was like, because like if you watch My Boss, right? One of the scenes, like the episode you like where they go on a getaway, was walking through a field with the girl, and he had to carry her, right? And I was like, oh, there's one, check that trope. He had to wash her hair. I think he blow drew. If he might have washed Chen Yao's hair in My Boss, but he definitely blow dried her hair. And then I know there were scenes of him and cdrama in their upcoming show that hasn't aired yet, where he's washing or drying her hair. I'm like, oh, there's another trope: him and girl's hair.
It's because he has the Avita like
Avita,
brand
Avino,
sponsorship.
Avino, oh, Avita.
Avino? No,
Oh,
Avita. Is
Avita.
it Avita?
Maybe. I
Remember
don't know. I
the
don't think Avita
hairbrush?
wants to be a brand associated like this with vehicular issues. Right? Like there was like remember I kept texting and I was like, oh, and their kid versions of them are cute. In fact, it's nice. It's a nice like eye to detail that they found a kid with curly hair because you know Chen Shi's natural hair is somewhat curly.
Yeah.
Which of course
yeah.
then made me go, why is it so flat and dull and like nerdy? Like I know they're going for a nerdy look, but I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
His hair is
Okay,
curly.
so like yeah, they made it sound like he was a really successful surgeon before he had some sort of trauma. They don't say what the trauma is. I think I don't
PTSD, I thought.
I maybe from the explosions, right? But then he's also the doctor who saved her. So there's like multiple times that they
Yes.
have crossed paths in the past. Oh, that was another thing. I was like, why does she not know who he is? Because like she knew his name, and then they showed these flashbacks to when they were kids, and he had the same name. It's not like he changed his name.
Yeah.
But I guess I mean they revealed it pretty quickly. Like she realized like, oh, it's the same guy. But it was interesting to me that it didn't cross her mind. Like so it just showed like in the whole gamut of it, right? Like she made a huge impression on him. He never forgot her.
Right.
But he barely made an impression on her. Like if she had not met him again as an adult, she would never.
That's okay, right? That's fair. Like we all do that.
Yeah.
But yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have kept watching to find out their connections, but now I'm gonna put it on hold. I haven't completely abandoned it, but I got distracted by the third show that we're going to talk about briefly. And very briefly, because I feel like we would talk too much about two shows that, you know, probably shouldn't have warranted this much airtime, which is the third show wasn't on our radar, actually. And it just dropped. And I was like, oh, hey, this show with Esther Yu and Ryan Ding is out. And I know you like them from Moonlight, which I could not finish. Because I was like, oh my God, you know, like, where is this going? I know you liked it. And, you know, I think part of it.
I liked Moonlight.
Part of it is also you like publishing and book stuff. So that really appealed to one aspect that appealed to you. It's not the whole reason, I'm sure. So I watched it. I wasn't expecting much. I was like, oh no, another costume idol. And in fact, I think it's produced by one of the producers is the same guy who did 苍兰诀, right? Love Between Fairy and Devil, and then that one was a hit, and then all of the other things that he did afterwards were duds. So I was not expecting much, but I am very pleasantly surprised so far. I was like, yeah, this is really entertaining. It's hilarious. I mean, I have not laughed so much while watching a show. And Ryan and Esther have very, very cute chemistry. Not necessarily romantic. I don't need to see them actually being romantic. It's actually like they're like two cute kids. Bicker, right?
Yes.
And actually, that's what I like about him because, you know, I watched the Tiger and Rose, right? Romance of Tiger and Rose, which everyone loved at the time. And I said it was entertaining, but honestly, part of it was because he was the male lead. Like, he was interesting enough for you to be like, I want to watch. Like, you know what I mean? He's not just the paper-thin male lead for Zhao Lusi to bounce off of. So, but I feel like he hasn't really made a lot of good shows, worthy shows since. So I'm glad to see. I mean, you argued that Moonlight was a good show, right? I'm not saying it was bad. It was just not entertaining for me.
Well, it's interesting because other than the two leads, the second male lead was also from Moonlight.
Yes.
I don't know his name, but I like him. I think he's very handsome.
I find him
I've never seen
odd looking, but that's me.
Oh, I think he's cute. He was also a second male lead in the other Miles Way drama. May I love you? One of those. Anyways,
yes, you may.
But he was actually he was cute in that. He played like this very awkward like director character. So in Moonlight he played like the more mature best friend of Ryan Ding. And so it's funny because here they don't they're not good friends here, right? There's sort of some built-in animosity because Ryan Ding's character is very protective, overprotective of his sister, and he doesn't want anyone near her. But the second male lead is supposed to be
female lead.
Yeah, he's jealous. So he doesn't want this guy anywhere near his sister. But in the novel, so we should take a step back of what the plot is. So Esther falls into a novel. So she was the reader, and then she falls into the middle of this novel. So these are all novel characters, like in a book. They're the book characters, and she already knows the plot. But there's a
Wait, do we even say what the show is called? Love Game in Eastern Romance. It makes no sense.
Love Game in Eastern Fantasy.
Oh, sorry. See, I'm telling you, the title makes no sense. And then every time I see the credits, not the credits, the intro with the video game graphics, it's cute, right? But then it has like really bad English. Game is progress. I was like, oh my god, that's gonna bother me every time I see it.
So we won't cover it too deeply, but cause I'm sure we'll talk about it in a different pod. But one of the things that I was really excited about when I saw the first few minutes, like 10 minutes, is so I've read a lot of web novels in the past, Chinese web novels, and they have this thing that was very trendy for a few years. I don't know if it's still trendy now, but it's a way where they get past censorship, where they say, oh, you're in a game, and it's also video game influence, where there's a system. They call it system. So it's basically this voice that only the main protagonist can hear, and they're like, you are on a mission. In order to, you must complete these tasks before you return to your real world. And it happens very frequently in novels, but this is probably the first drama I've seen where it's very explicitly saying that, and that voice comes back repeatedly and will give her these like mini tasks, and she has to finish it. And so I think one of the funnier things that I saw is when she fails, they like push her back to the point where she didn't fail, and she has to restart. And there's this one scene where he kept killing her.
Yes.
And usually I feel like when they do this, they do like 2 or 3 times. I feel like she got killed like 10, 15 times. Like the multiple shots and angles of her getting killed. And she's so tired. She's like, why can't I finish this mission?
It feels like to play a real game though.
Yeah, she's like, I need to move on with this plot. I don't want to be stuck here. And I was laughing so hard because I was like, this is so ridiculous. But it's like you can feel her pain, and she's so cute. Like Esther Yu has definitely a different kind of cuteness, right? She's
I would not say every type of role suits her, right? But this one suits her, and so did the Xiaolanhua in Talanjue.
Yes. And it's funny because I've seen her in 2 other modern dramas where she has to play like a little bit more mature, a little bit more serious characters. But I think even though she's older now, she can still carry off that cutesy type of acting. And it's like fun because it's also funny because she's like she'll be like, oh, I shouldn't but they're just NPCs, like she's treating it as if she's in a video game, but then
she is a video game.
Yeah, but her own little moral compass is like, oh, but I really don't want to do anything awful to this person, even though they're not real. Like, she's like, oh, they're just characters. Like, I shouldn't care. I need to get back to my real world. So I think, I'm only on the first 3 episodes, but it's very charming in that sense. It's like, it's fun.
It's kind of like Monty Python-esque. Do you ever watch Monty Python or know what I'm talking about?
Years ago.
Like
but I know
Monty Python and the Holy Grail is a movie I've watched many times because it's like a rewatchable hilarity, and it's so stupid, right? If you look at the jokes, you're like, oh, this is so stupid, like sophomoric humor, which is what this show is. But somehow the way the actors deliver it and the way they've executed the whole thing, like when she got killed off and they're like the end and they started rolling the credits early in the episode, first episode. It's so expectedly unexpected,
funny.
Right? It's expected and unexpected, and then they're like, oh wait, we gotta rewind. You're like, that was funny. The way they did it was funny, right? Like
because the credits kept going. Like, they look like real credits.
Right.
And you're like, wait, this is like 12 minutes in. Like, what's happening?
Show is, like what the Chinese when the show is ended, right? Like, the end. So,
That's so
very
funny.
tongue in
Yeah.
cheek, but done in like a lighthearted, not again, unlike Kill Me, Love Me, not heavy handed or leaden footed. So, at least so far.
And I like
will.
that. Yeah. I think this one's and I think no matter how it ends, I think it'll be fine.
Hopefully,
right? This is like
if it can sustain the same type of what do you call it, charm.
Yes.
Right, I'm sure it'll make a turn for the serious very soon. Right, you can already see that they have seeded elements with her dad and stuff like that. Right, but yes,
yeah.
So
we are enjoying something.
yes, it's
finally,
the one that we least expected because we didn't even know it existed, or we're not expecting it to drop. Right, so. Sometimes the things you look forward to, I mean, this is what they say, right? Like, be zen, right? Which is don't have desire, don't look forward to things and have expectations, and don't dwell on things in the past that you can't change, right? Those are the type of mentalities that cause anxiety and stress and disappointment. This is a lesson in Buddhism.
And a lesson in drama watching.
Yes. So I hopefully, this one pans out, like delivers on the early promise so far. I mean, I can't wait to go catch the next episode after we're done here. And hopefully we'll have more to talk about. I don't expect it to be a deep show. I don't think you do either, right? But it is
It'll be a fun ride is what I'm hoping for.
And a good kind of counter programming to what we just finished that we loved. Snowy Night.
Yes. Oh, Snowy Night. I really do wish for a bigger audience. I hope people catch it.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to the next show from Josephson now. Even though it's with Bailu. I'm like, oh no, is it gonna be another Till the End of the Sorry. You know how I feel about Till the End of the Moon. I think honestly, I will watch it even if it's like that because there was again so that's another salacious show. But I don't know, man. That was less. I don't know. I got through that one better than I can now. Maybe my patience is less. I have less patience now. That I'm a year older or 2 years older. I could sit through Till the End of the Moon. I could not sit through Kill Me, Love Me. I'm like, oh my god. Give me more laundry to fold. Yeah. You need help folding laundry? I'll come and fold laundry.
That was so sad. I was like, oh, this is sad. I'm folding laundry while trying to read subtitles.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so enough. This was a pod about nothing, right? Three shows that we currently are watching or have watched. I think we're dropping one for sure. So one is on the fence, and then one we're definitely pursuing. So hopefully there'll be more to talk about on the last one, and then maybe there'll be a ray of light coming down the pipeline soon. All right. On that note, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.